Cathie Wood of ARK Invest, her next big transition and jump. So if you follow Cathie Wood, ARK Invest, you know that her funds or ETFs are performing exceptionally well. She's a market leader because she's basically captured the disruption space. She understands, the major disruptive platforms, the 5 platforms she talks about, and the 14 technologies associated with it, and how that's going to impact the companies of today and tomorrow. So to understand the future of Cathie Wood and what she has planned next, you have to look at some of her major predictions. And what I'm going to focus on today is that many of the S&P are going to be disrupted because not only because of the innovation platforms that are going to roll them over, the ones that have not invested enough in innovation, and the ones that have focused too much just on stock buybacks and short-term profits over long-term investments. So there's some companies, as you know, where the CEOs, they just want to maximize the stock price over their own tenure. So they're focused just on the next 2 years or 5 years or however long they're going to be CEO. They want to buy back the stock so that it goes up in price, and they're not thinking about what's going to happen to the company after they leave. They're not putting the R&D in. So those companies are going to go bust. And Cathie Wood says that a lot more of the S&P is going to go bust than people realize because the innovation leaders are just going to roll over the rest of the companies. So what's Cathie Wood's role going to be like when the S&P 500 is like the S&P 50? 400 or 300 or 450 or 250, whatever it is of those companies are gone or decimated. She talks about deflationary, both good and bad deflation. That good deflation is because of innovation, and bad deflation is that, the companies that are weak in innovation, they're going to have to cut prices to try to protect their market share. So when that happens, what is Cathie's role going to look like then? So a couple of thoughts on that. One is that with those companies that are innovative, disruptive, go up the S curve, and the S curves play upon each other. The S curve for artificial intelligence, the S curve for robotics, the S curve for Internet of Things. The Cathie Wood is basically going to be in a position where she owns so much capital and has so much mind share that basically her company is going to be an innovative giant in itself. Now, right now, ARK is small, but when her companies take over the S&P, then she's going to be in a position where she could basically buy, if it works out this way, a Goldman Sachs or a, maybe not a company quite that big to start off with, but maybe like a $1 billion company or a $5 billion company or a $10 billion company. And basically she's going to be able to roll up the ETF market the way it disrupt the ETF market and buy. Basically what I'm trying to say is that just as the S&P is going to be disruptive, the financial industry is going to be disruptive. Like she says, like most analysts are just focused on silos, on segments, and those they don't really understand like the convergence. They don't really understand the innovation, the disruption. So those companies that rely on those analysts and those silos are going to basically be toast, just like the S&P is going to be toast. And Cathie Wood, because of the capital that she's amassing, especially if she's right, is going to be able to buy a lot of those companies. Is going to be able to cherry pick and buy a lot of those analysts. So you're going to find that the financial firms are going to move more and more and more towards innovation. And Cathie Wood is an innovation expert. Her firm is going to get very, very, very big. She's going to be able to buy a lot of these companies, a lot of these analysts on the cheap, just like Tesla and other disruptive companies are going to be able to buy, a lot of the legacy companies on the cheap. So look for Cathie Wood to be, a Fortune 500 CEO herself as ARK Invest gets very, very big.